I love you, Mom. Repeat after me. I love you, Mom. That's just great. I love you, Mom. There are people in this world where all you got to say is, I love you, Mom, and it just melts hearts. But there are those who never heard those words. But I want you to know that I use those words in good times and in bad times. These 4 monosyllabic words. Hopefully, sometimes it would get me out of trouble. I was never in any trouble at any point in time. And there would be times where I knew that things weren't going right, and I would look at my mother and knowing that I had some kind of way, just once in a blue moon, messed up, and I'd go to her and say, Mom, I love you. And she says, I love you too. Now go get the switch. A mother's love. 4 little words can serve as a basis for countless stories of faith, determination, sacrifice, pain, struggle, but stories of prayer, stories of love, stories of great joy, stories of the love of God. Every one of us have experienced God's love in some shape or form. Some have been able to receive it from mothers. Some have been able to receive it from strangers. Every woman cannot or will not bear biological children, but every one of us can give and experience God's love. Turn to your neighbor and say, I thank God for your love. There are some women in this world that have given birth yet have not raised their children, as I prayed earlier, because of addiction. It just tears me apart when I see those mothers who are crackheads, who have these crack addictions. And they have literally sold their children for 2 or 3 minutes of a high. Crack mothers. Mothers are so special. And that love that comes from them can only come from a loving God. If your mother is alive, tell her, I love you. If your mother is not alive, tell her you love her in your prayers. Those 4 little words can make a difference. And believe this or not, and I am saying this from my heart, there are those mothers that have to be forgiven. And if you need to forgive your mother, then forgive them, because the greatest principle of love is forgiveness. In our scripture, Hannah and Mary, the personifications of motherly love. What links the 2 of them together? 1, their relationship to God. 2, their willingness to give their child back to God. And 3, their testimony. The relationship, the gift, and the testimony. Hannah's song of triumph and Mary's Magnificat are 2 of the greatest songs ever sung in this world. For they talked about the spirit of love and the spirit of God. Not just the spirit of motherhood, but the spirit of God and the spirit of love. 12 centuries separated Hannah's song from Mary's Magnificat. 12 centuries, that's 1,200 years. Do the math. If we say 1492, if we say 1777, whatever it is, look what 1,200 years is. That song was sung for 1,000 years, and Mary heard that song. Mary heard, and all the wonderful people of that time heard Hannah's song, where this old barren wife grieved, for she could not bear children, especially a male child. For you and I both know in this patriarchal society that we have this birth of Christ, and that was here. We know for a fact that a woman was judged by whether or not she bore children, and especially if she bore a man child. She could have 17 ladies, 17 daughters, and was still looked upon in the Jewish faith as a failure. And here this lady was, old of age, in a polygamous situation where all around her, they were just giving birth, and here she was, she could not give birth. Hannah continued, though, to do something. She continued to have, take a look at it, a mustard seed of faith. Take a look at it. A mustard seed of faith. That's what she did. She held on. She believed that regardless of her age, she would be able to bear a child, a man child, like Abraham's Sarah, like Isaac's Rebekah, like Jacob's Rachel. They grieved because they could not conceive, but once they conceived, they had the joy, the wonderful opportunity to give back to God. Oh my goodness. The power of love and of God in this situation, that here she was, old of age, yet she sang this triumphant song that is a basis for one of the most powerful points of Scripture. There is nothing impossible with God. There is nothing impossible with God. Wow. In this his story, in this book that basically does not even want to really try to lift up all the great accomplishments of women, in this book which we have to sometimes struggle with, in this religion where we have sometimes had to put women down, not allow them in pulpits, not give them the due that is justifiably theirs. In this religion, we must know that the very foundation of who we serve is based in a mother's love. Nothing shall be impossible because of a mother's love. Turn to your neighbor. Tell them, whatever you're going through, God can fix it. Whatever you're going through, God can fix it, because nothing is impossible with God. The stories of triumph of women allows us to know that God will be able to be there no matter what. I've told you my story. I've told you of my grandmother who worked for 3 people's homes as a domestic. 3. And what did she do? She saved 50-cent pieces in Garrett snuff boxes so that we could have a home. 3 families she worked for. And on her deathbed, she was still working for one family. Don't tell me I don't know about strength of a mother. Oh, the whippings I used to get. She would wash these clothes, put them on clotheslines, and you don't know what I'm talking about. Take those poles and stick them up so the sheets and things wouldn't fall on the ground. But it was a perfect avenue to run up and down and through. Oh, man. You haven't played hide and seek until you hide and sneak in lily white, freshly washed clothes, let alone sheets. Oh, right now, I still have those fond memories of my grandmother, and Dale knows this to this day, of the magnificent love that she experienced in life and was able to share with me, because I know what a mother's love is. And I know that running up and down and through those sheets, everything was okay until Mr. Coordinated hit that pole and the sheet fell on the ground. And then those magnificent words that came from her mouth, Phil! Oh, shoot!